Operation Deadly Omen, by a majority of the community, and myself included, was considered one of the best Rainbow Six Siege seasons of all time, adding a brand new operator, an amazing rework, and adding some balance changes that most people tended to agree with. After hearing that, you would think that they probably followed up with a lot of good changes afterward. Unfortunately, the reality is not that case. What we got instead was Operation New Blood, a season that reworked the iconic recruit character into something a lot of people just simply weren't into and added next to no new content. I love Rainbow Six Siege, but in this video, I'm going to just talk about why Operation New Blood was simply the worst siege of season we've had, even worse than Operation Health. And I think the best place to start with that is the recruit rework itself. So, like I said before, in Operation New Blood, the season aimed to rework the recruit and make them viable for the ranked and standard playlists, because before, you can't normally play them in that. It did eventually do that. However, it came at the cost of losing recruits' iconic identity, being a faceless grunt and, being a recruit of Team Rainbow. Now, what we have instead of just the normal recruit is Striker and Sentry. Striker being an attacking recruit and Sentry being a defensive recruit. The problem with this is these operators, quote unquote, have their own sort of semi identities that don't really fall in line with the recruit. Yeah, at a glance, they have that recruit silhouette, but it just doesn't feel like that old recruit we've come to know and love. And a lot of people simply just aren't really okay with that. The real reason you would pick recruit in a mode like standard or ranked is because you wanted to do some pretty funny strategies and everybody could play them. However, being promoted to the operator status meant that you could only really pick one on a team, and a lot of people just didn't really vibe with that. It killed what was probably one of Rainbow Six Siege's most fun aspects, which is goofing around on recruit. Now I'm going to take a moment to talk about the recruits themselves individually because there is such a very big difference between the two. On one hand, we have Sentry on the defense, who is probably the weakest defender in the game because all of the secondary utility, otherwise known as the gadgets that defenders have access to, isn't really strong on their own and is supplementary to the abilities that normal Rainbow Six Siege defenders have. For instance, let's say I wanted to bring barbed wire and impacts on Sentry, but why would I do that? Malusi has an MP5, has impacts, and has 4 Banshees, which is debatably better than using barbed wire. Oh, she also has a secondary shotgun now that's just like Recruit. So she has everything Recruit does, but more. Okay, well, what if I wanted to run bulletproof camera and observation blockers? Well, why wouldn't you just play Maestro then? Maestro has a better gun, also has a secondary shotgun, and just has a better bulletproof camera in the form of the Evil Eye. It's just, you see what I'm talking about? Sentry doesn't really have a place here. The one thing that Sentry did have going for them is the proximity alarm and nitro cell trick that a lot of people were using to a point that now it's getting patched out in the next season, Operation Twin Shells. And now, on the other hand, we have Striker, who is on the complete opposite end and probably one of the best attackers because all of the attacking gadgets are simply good. Flash grenades, frag grenades, smoke grenades, impact EMPs, hard breach charge. You literally every single piece of attacking gadgets are really, really good. It's really hard to not have a good setup on Striker unless you're just really absolutely trying to. Now, I'm not saying it's bad for one of the recruits to be really good, but what I am saying is that it's simply, what's the word? Awkward when one of the recruits is just significantly stronger than the other one. Now we're going to move on to another topic that a lot of people didn't really enjoy either, and that is what's going on in ranked. In Deadly Omen, it really was about the same, but wasn't enough to really bring down the season as a whole. But this season, New Blood was debatably the worst season of ranked I've ever seen in my entire life. From personal experience, I was going against a cheater every other game, whether they be closet cheating, blatantly cheating, or simply toggling on because they think somebody else on my team is cheating. And it was just incredibly awkward. I even got into a single ranked game where I had three cheaters collectively, two on my team and a blatant cheater on the other. Spoiler alert, that match was null and void. I ended up winning because I had the two cheaters on my team, but I still ended up losing that RP because they got banned. So, honestly, this is where a lot of people get fucking frustrated. Is why are we in this year 9 game and we still have to deal with cheats that are simply this bad? I don't blame them at this point. I just want to clarify. I have utmost respect for Ubisoft, and I can't imagine how hard it is to work on a game this old with probably has a lot of spaghetti code. But I admit I feel the frustration when it comes to ranked too. And before I go off into a tangent again, I'm just gonna go ahead and wrap up that point there, and we'll move on to the next topic, which is the cosmetics. Oh boy, the cosmetics are a trip. I don't think we've gotten pretty much any type of bad cosmetic up until about New Blood, where they are really just actually recoloring cosmetics from previous battle passes and selling it to us in these battle passes. I mean, we have one one good cosmetic set from this battle pass from Thorn that I would actually probably consider wearing, but also at the same time, why is 95% of the battle pass recolors are just not good? That's probably why nobody bought it this season. But if you didn't know, I have a firm stance on cosmetics don't always equal content, and I still believe that. However, cosmetics can be a big driving force as to why people choose to spend money in your game, especially in this day and age where people care a lot about cosmetics and how they look. And this next thing is pretty much icing on the cake. During the same season that there was no new content, where cheating was probably at its absolute worst, they introduced a new feature called the R6 membership. Oh my gosh. So, for basically $12 a month, you get all the benefits that somebody essentially bought, back in the day, buying the battle pass or buying the year pass would get, but it's just a subscription service, and every so often you get a cosmetic. And look, I understand Ubisoft is simply trying to explore new avenues of monetization, but this was simply just a really bad decision to do during a season where we got absolutely no in-game content. One more thing I want to talk about is simply just the balance from this season, because Fenrir got his rework and a lot of people were pretty okay with that, but they just kind of took Solus out and then just hit her with a sledgehammer. I understand she was really strong. This first set of changes did need to happen, but and in the next coming season, they're also just kind of doubling down on that, and she's losing her entire identity. But that's not really a problem with New Blood, so I'm not going to go ahead and go into that. But there is hope. Starting with Operation Twin Shells, we will be getting some new content, and Ubisoft even apologized for what happened in Operation New Blood. They openly admitted that it wasn't the standard that they wanted to keep, and honestly, it's really good just to hear them being completely transparent about the situation rather than trying to hide behind the fact that it was just a mess up. They acknowledged that New Blood was not exactly what Siege was supposed to be in that season, and they're owning up to that, and I can highly respect that for the devs. So Ubisoft, somehow, if you do come across this video, I do genuinely thank you for what you do. If you just happen to feel like this season was just all completely hate, it kind of was, but at the same time, this game wouldn't be what it is if you didn't stop and work on it. So thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to Operation Twin Shells because Scopos is a very interesting operator, and we're gonna hopefully be getting a lot more. Anyways, I've been Cardinal Sin. I hope you enjoyed my yap session, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, please like and subscribe. Bye bye.